Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to explore the absolutely vital anatomy of workplace collaboration. Think of it like taking a giant magnifying glass to how we share information, unpacking all those sneaky hidden barriers that mess up our workflows, and, most importantly, figuring out exactly how to fix them. We've all been there, right? The ultimate workplace nightmare, the totally misunderstood message. You know the exact feeling. You send what you think is a perfectly clear standard update, and somehow, crickets in the boardroom. Or worse, defensive replies and complete chaos on your team. It's incredibly frustrating. But to fix it, we really need to understand what's going wrong right beneath the surface. Section 1. The lifeblood of collaboration. I love this source quote because it absolutely nails the stakes. Communication isn't just, talking. It's literally the essential glue holding collaborative giants like Google, IBM, and Xerox together. In those high-performance spaces, collaboration isn't just some trendy corporate buzzword. It's the whole shebang. It's their primary organizing principle. Without that lifeblood flowing smoothly, coordinated action just falls apart. It really comes down to this stark difference: an organization with a healthy circulatory system of information versus one suffering from seriously blocked arteries. A healthy flow means people are seamlessly sharing goals, ideas, and emotions. But when those arteries get clogged up with noise, and we'll define that in a sec, along with perceptual distortions, bam, immediate confusion and a total loss of managerial control. Section 2. The anatomy of a message. So how does a message actually work? It's a pretty complex cycle. It starts with step 1, the source, who comes up with an idea. Step 2, they have to encode that idea into symbols, verbal, written, or nonverbal. Step 3, the message travels through a channel, like an email or a quick face-to-face chat. Step 4, the receiver decodes those symbols. And finally, step 5, the receiver assigns meaning to it. The process is never actually complete until that meaning is assigned. And as you can probably guess, there are 5 distinct places where things can go horribly wrong. Section 3. Breaking down hidden barriers. All right, our first major organizational roadblock is something called the mum effect. Basically, subordinates often filter information, telling their bosses only what they think the boss wants to hear. I mean, nobody wants to be the bearer of bad news, right? They keep quiet to avoid retribution or just to protect their own image. But because of this biased upward communication, leadership gets completely starved of reality. To beat this, leaders absolutely must model openness behaviors to create a safe space where employees can speak up without fear. Next, ask yourself this: why do we constantly fill in the blanks? Well, when communication is strictly one way, like one of those massive company-wide memos, and it's full of physical, semantic, or cultural noise, the message arrives with huge gaps. Our brains naturally love to solve puzzles, so the receiver just guesses the missing pieces. This frequently leads to faulty attributions of intent, which, you guessed it, creates frustration and totally unclear expectations. Then we have selective perception. This is wild. It happens when individuals literally block out information, or they only hear things that magically match their preconceived notions. For instance, if a manager doesn't trust a certain employee, they might disregard completely accurate, solid data simply because they lack objectivity. It's a huge barrier. This is exactly why managers have to consciously use feedback loops to verify they're actually hearing what was intended, stepping outside their own stereotypes. Section 4. The active listening shift. Here's a fascinating twist. Active listening isn't just about your ears. It heavily relies on your eyes. Enter kinesics. These are the nonverbal gestures and body postures that give us critical cues. Think about it. If someone says, yeah, I'm totally fine with this project, but their arms are crossed super tight and they won't even look you in the eye, well, the kinesics are telling you the real story. So, we have this 5-step checklist that basically acts as our primary medical treatment for communication breakdowns. First, listen for content. Second, listen for feelings. Third, actively respond to those feelings so the person feels recognized. Fourth, note all those nonverbal cues, the kinesics we just talked about. And fifth, reflect back by paraphrasing. By adopting these guidelines, the employee feels deeply valued, which naturally boosts the flow of high-quality truth straight up the chain of command. Section 5. Navigating the digital minefield. Get ready for this statistic, because it's a bit shocking. Less than 50%. Research shows that email recipients correctly identify the intended tone of a message less than half the time. Let that sink in. Every time you hit send on a quick email, it's basically a coin toss, whether the person on the other end reads it as helpful guidance or a passive-aggressive attack. And that complete lack of tone leads straight to flaming.
Because digital tools strip away all those vital nonverbal cues we just went over, workers fall right into this trap. They become overly blunt, insensitive, or impatient simply because there's a screen between them and the other person. They end up severely damaging professional relationships, all for the sake of firing off a faster response.
Surviving this digital minefield means you've got to understand channel richness. You have to strategically balance your options. Rich channels, like face-to-face meetings, have a massive capacity to handle complex, emotional information. On the flip side, lean channels like routine emails or posted notices are super efficient but totally devoid of tone. The real secret here? Save those lean channels for routine data and deliberately switch to rich channels the second a topic gets emotionally sensitive.
Section 6. Mastering Supportive Communication.
It all starts with interactional transparency. This is all about fostering relationship quality by being totally open, accountable, and honest about your motives with both your leaders and your team. By embracing this kind of total accountability and actually sharing the why behind your decisions, we prevent our peers from feeling disconfirmed. In other words, we stop them from feeling like their actual self-worth is under attack during critical feedback. Check out the exact phrasing shift required to cure toxicity here. We absolutely must move away from attacking the person and instead focus purely on the problem. We've got to ditch global evaluations like, you always do this, and get highly specific and descriptive. Instead of disowning a message by blaming corporate policy, own it. Use I statements. And finally, make sure your words and your body language are completely congruent. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to really think about this. Are your daily messages curing your team's problems, or are they just creating more noise? Because effective communication isn't just about transmitting data. It's about actively fighting that information filtering and being incredibly intentional about how you deliver your message. So ask yourself today, are you actively balancing digital efficiency with true interpersonal depth, or are you letting the lifeblood of your organization slowly drain away?